Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. This is a video for lesson number 89, which is a continuation of our scatter plots. Today we're just going to be graphing them. Don't forget this is all found on my website, and you can also post your homework on Google Classroom, please. Okay, so here we go. So today's lesson is graphing scatter plots. So Bob recorded his height at different ages. So age versus height. Remember, this is bivariate data, scatter plots. So you're plotting two different variables. All right, so you have on your dependent, and you know what, let's go over this. So remember, dependent and independent, okay? And I always remember because of the dry mix, okay? So your dependent goes with your y, so that's gonna be your y, and then your independent is gonna go with your x, so we have that. So don't forget these words. So on your x-axis, you have age, and on your y-axis, you have your height, and then you want to write your title, age versus height. So you always have a VS in the middle. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, and always put the X before the Y. All right, and basically, if you can graph a point, you can totally do this, and this should probably have a little bit of a break there as well. So 6 goes with 45. Okay, so do your X first, right? This is your X. This is your Y. Okay, then we have 8 with 50, 10 with 55, 12 with 61, and 14 with 63. I'm gonna make this one a little bit lower because this one has got to go about right there. All right, so all of these points are now done. Remember, with the scatter plot, do not connect the dots, okay? Do not connect the dots. So we did that first. Make a scatter plot of Bob's data. Describe the types of association between Bob's age and his height, and you want to explain. Please remember that association is the same thing as correlation, which is the same thing as relationship. So anytime you see any of those words, it's talking about the positive, negative, no correlation. So here, I think you can hopefully see that it definitely is positive. So positive association. Association. And now it wants us to explain. So basically, you're just going to write a sentence. This is positive. So remember, they both increase. So as something increases, something else increases. So we're going to write that. So as his, we're going to talk about X first, age increases, his height also increases. So you're just basically explaining what positive is. I also want you to notice that there's no numbers in the second, or dots, excuse me, the second, third, or fourth quadrant, and that's because there's no negative. So only in first quadrant because it's real life, and age and height cannot be negative. So it can't be negative, so it's not in the second, third, or fourth quadrant. All right, Miss Banks recorded the height and reading level of several students. Make sure we have a title. So it's going to be reading level versus height, always your X versus your Y. Describe the type of association between a student's height and his reading level, and explain. So again, I hope you can see that if you were to draw a line, it would be positive. As the students, so remember, as one increases, the other increases. So as the students, always tell me the X first, by the way. As the students' reading level increases, their height also increases. And one of the questions on the final is actually a multiple choice. And they give you something that looks just like this, and you have to just pick out the one that is the correct example. So I just want to point one more thing out, and that's this dot over here, the little random dot. Remember, we call that an outlier. All right, Miss Banks concludes that an increase in reading level causes an increase in height. Explain whether you agree with her. So remember, I talked about causes and causation. In order for something to be causation or have causation, it has to 100% affect it. So my best example is always a snowstorm. We get a blizzard, 10 feet of snow, that's going to 100% cause us to not be able to go to school and have a snow day. So is the reading level affecting the height? So if you can read better, does that mean that you are taller? No. So this has correlation, not causation. One does not cause the other. So just because you are taller does not mean that your reading level is high, or vice versa. Just because you have a great reading level or a low reading level doesn't mean you're going to be short or anything like that. Okay, you want to identify an outlier. Oh, we just did that over here. So 6 and 45. And then explain why it's an outlier. So 6, 45 is an outlier because it's not near the plotted values or the other plotted values. All right, hopefully that was not too bad. Next question. Susan surveyed 20 people about the price of a cleaning product she developed. She asked each person whether they would buy the cleaner at different prices. A person may answer yes or no to more than one price. Susan's results are shown right here in the table. So you have your X and you have your Y. So your X is your price, Y is your buyers. Don't forget that title, price versus buyers. All right, so we want to make a scatter plot. So again, it's just plotting points. Make sure you don't connect them. Okay, so 2 with 20, 4 with 19, 6 with 17, 8 with 13, 10 with 8, and 12 with 2. Describe the type of association you see between the price and the people and explain. So as you can see, it's kind of the same thing over and over and over again. So this time it goes down, so that would be negative. And again, negative is as X increases, Y decreases. So as X increases, Y decreases. So as the price increases, the amount of buyers decreases. So as one increases, the other decreases. All right, next question. Moving right along. Lucky number 7. The table shows the number of minutes 10 shoppers spent in a supermarket and total amount each spent during that shopping trip. On the grid below, create a scatter plot. So we need a scatter plot. Then the association and any outliers. All right, so what do we have? So this is a little bit more work because these are not labeled for us at all. But we have our time and we have our total. Time seems to go by tens. So let's do that. That's a good number to count by. And let's see, this side all seem to be pretty even. So let's count by 20s. 60, 180, 200, and that'll get me to what I need. So time was in minutes and total is in dollars. And I think you guys learned in science and maybe even in 7th grade that time was always on the X. I believe that was a concept you guys learned in 7th grade. And then of course, most important, the thing that most people forget, including myself, don't forget to do your title. All right, so let's graph it. So 10 with 20, 30 with 80. I got to check them off as I go. 50 with 120, 20 with 40, 60 with 150, 30 with $60, 40 with 90, 70, and that's a 180, 60 with 20, okay, that's random, and then 50 with 140. Okay, remember, do not connect the dots. Don't connect the dots. So it wants to know, describe the association. So this is going to be, I guess I'm going to write it here. This is going to be positive, and I want to explain it. And positive is both increases. So as the time increases, the total money spent increases. Okay, and positive, again, you would see that, could imagine doing that positive line. All right, and then we also do the outlier. And you know that's going to be that random dot over here. And what was that? It was something with 20. So that was, I think, this point over here. That was 60 and 20. I think you also have an outlier question on your final exam too, from what I remember. All right, hopefully you guys are doing good. One more question. Use the following information to answer questions 1 to 4. Christina works at the ice cream shop during summer vacation. She uses the following table to record the highest temperature for each day for 2 weeks and number of ice cream. Remember, everything is bivariate, so it's always 2 things. So this is temperature and cones, okay? So it's always 2 things. Bivariate, remember that information for the quiz. Use the information from the table to create a scatter plot. Again, notice these little, these ones, this packet makes it look like bacon. Again, that's your break. This is really what it looks like. And all that means is that you could skip a bunch of numbers. So I don't have to write every single number from 0 to 100. I could skip right away to 60 and then start counting by 5s. Just a good way to not have to write too many numbers out. All right, speaking of 11 numbers, these are 11 numbers. All right, so this is your X. So 85. 87, 77, 91, 70, 95, and 100, 88 and 91, 83 and 79, 80 and 67, and a lot of these you do have to approximate. 82 and 73, 78, 90 and 87, 93 and 92, 85, 95, 87, one more, 83 and 68. Okay, so what we really should do too, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14. I didn't say this before, but it's probably really good to count the dots. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. Good. So make sure you have 14 numbers here, 14 dots here. That's, you know, always important just to make sure you don't do anything. All right, does the scatter plot represent a clustering? Clustering. I mean, I don't really know. Well, the answer key, I'll tell you, says this, 82 to 88. So they're saying like around here is a cluster. I feel like we did on the yesterday's worksheet, you could really tell if there's going to be a cluster. If I'm going to ask you, you're definitely going to be able to figure it out. So is there a relationship? Remember, relationship is the same thing as correlation or association. All 3 of those words are interchangeable. So is there a relationship between the high temperature and the number of ice cream sold each day? So is there some kind of correlation? And you can see almost all of these dots are going to go in this direction. So that's going to be positive. And I want that sentence. So as the, remember, do your X first. As the temperature increases, comma, the number of cones sold increases. If there are any outliers, and what are they? So I think there's actually 2 of them this time, because it kind of looks like this one's totally random and this one's random. They don't follow this pattern for the rest of them. So it looks like we have the 85 and 95 dot, and then we have the 91 and 70 dot. All right, so that was day 2 of scatter plots, graphing them, and we're going to graph them tomorrow in our lesson with line of best fit. So hopefully you understood this, and don't forget to post on Google Classroom. Your homework is just graphing scatter plots, I think talking about correlations. So, all right, thanks so much. Have a great day.